Zariah's Journey, Part 1. The Wait in the House. The west side of Chicago didn't wake up gently. Sirens stretched through the morning air like alarms that never got turned off. Buses hissed at corners. A man talked with nobody on the sidewalk. Then again, that man might have been talking with someone that no one else, but him, could see. Somewhere down the block, music played too loud for the hour, but nobody complained. This was normal. Inside a second-floor apartment on a worn-down street, 16-year-old Zariah sat on the edge of her bed, already dressed for school, her backpack leaning against the wall. But she hadn't moved in 10 minutes. Her eyes weren't tired. They were heavy. Not the kind of heavy sleep fixes. The kind that sits on your chest and follows you from room to room. From the hallway came the sound of something falling. Then silence. Then a low voice, her mother's, mumbling. Zariah closed her eyes. Please, not today. She stood up slowly and opened her bedroom door. The apartment smelled like something stale, like yesterday never left. In the living room, her mother sat slouched on the couch, one shoe off, one still on, head tilted back. A bottle rested on the floor near her foot. The TV was on, but muted. Zariah stepped closer. Ma. No response. She swallowed, then nudged her shoulder gently. Ma, I gotta go to school. A long pause. Then her mother stirred slightly, eyes barely opening. You got lunch money. Zariah hesitated. No ma'am. Her mother reached into her pocket, fumbled, then dropped a crumpled dollar bill onto the floor. That's all I got. I'll get you later. Zariah picked it up. She didn't say thank you. Not because she was ungrateful, but because this moment had happened too many times to feel like a gift. She grabbed her backpack and walked toward the door. Right before leaving, she paused. Looked back. For a second, something in her heart pulled. Not anger. Not even sadness. Just something deeper. A quiet thought. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Outside. The air was cold, sharp against her face. Kids walked in groups. Some laughed. Some argued. Some already looked tired of life, and they weren't even grown yet. Zariah walked alone. Halfway down the block, she passed an older woman sitting on her porch, wrapped in a blanket, Bible open in her lap. The woman looked up. Their eyes met. Morning, baby. Zariah nodded slightly. Morning. The woman studied her for a moment, not in a nosy way, but like she saw something. You all right? Zariah forced a small shrug. Yeah. The woman didn't respond right away. Then she said something that stuck. Don't carry what ain't yours to carry. Zariah frowned slightly. I'm okay, she repeated, more firmly this time. The woman gave a soft smile. I didn't say you wasn't. Zariah kept walking. But the words followed her. At school. Hallways filled with noise, lockers slamming, people calling names across rooms. Zariah moved through it like she wasn't really there. In class, the teacher's voice blurred into background sound. Turn to page 143. This will be on your test. Zariah, you with us? She blinked. Yeah. But she wasn't. Her mind kept drifting back home. To the bottle. To her mom. To that quiet, uncomfortable truth pressing on her heart. Something is wrong. Not just in her house. In everything. Lunch period. She sat alone at the edge of a table, picking at a bag of chips she bought with that dollar. Across the cafeteria, a group of girls laughed loudly, recording a video. Near the windows, a boy slept with his head down. 2 tables over, an argument started over something small, but escalated fast. Zariah watched all of it. And for the first time, a thought formed clearly. Why does everything feel broken? Not just bad. Not just hard. Broken. Like something deeper underneath all of this wasn't right. She looked down at her hands. Then quietly whispered to herself. God, if you're real. She stopped. The words felt unfamiliar. But also necessary. What is this? After school. The sky was dimming already as she walked home. Same streets. Same noise. Same weight waiting for her behind that apartment door. But something had shifted. Not outside. Inside. That question she asked, it didn't leave. It sat in her chest like a seed. Uncomfortable. Unanswered. Alive. As she reached her building, she stopped at the bottom of the steps. Looked up. Took a breath. And for the first time in a long time, she whispered, God, if you hear me, I need help. End of part 1. Zariah's Journey, Part 2. The voice that doesn't blend in. That night didn't feel normal. It looked normal. Same dim apartment lights. Same TV flickering across the walls. Same silence between noises. But something underneath it all had shifted. Back in the apartment, Zariah stepped inside and closed the door behind her slowly. Her mother was in the same spot. Different position. Same condition. The bottle was closer to empty now. Zariah didn't say anything this time. She just stood there for a moment, watching. Not judging. Not even reacting. Just seeing it clearly. And that thought came back again, stronger. This isn't how it's supposed to be. She walked past the living room and into the kitchen. Opened the fridge. There. A few condiments. Half a loaf of bread. Nothing real. She grabbed the bread anyway. As she leaned against the counter, chewing something that barely counted as food, her mind drifted again. Back to what she said earlier. God, if you're real. She swallowed. Then said it again. Quieter this time. What is this? Her room. Later that night, Zariah sat on her bed, lights off, just the glow from the street lamp leaking through the blinds. She didn't turn on music. Didn't scroll her phone. Didn't distract herself. That was new. Usually, silence made everything louder. But tonight, she let it sit. Her eyes slowly adjusted to the dark. And then, a thought. Not loud. Not scary. Just different. Clearer than her normal thinking. You see it now. Zariah sat up slightly. Her brow tightened. What? She looked around her room. Nobody there. Her heart started beating faster, but not out of panic. Out of awareness. Hello. Nothing. Just the faint sound of traffic outside. She shook her head. I'm trippin'. She laid back down. Covered her face with her arm. But then, that same presence of thought came again. Not like imagination. Not like overthinking. More direct. You asked. Her arms slowly lowered from her face. Her eyes opened. God. Silence. But it wasn't empty. It felt like something was waiting. The tension. Suddenly. A loud bang from the living room. Zariah jumped. Her heart snapped back into her chest. Ma. No response. She got up quickly and opened her door. The hallway felt different. Heavier. Like walking into a room where an argument just happened, but nobody's talking about it. She stepped into the living room. Her mother was still on the couch. But something else caught her attention. The TV. It was still on. But now the screen was flickering, static breaking through the image. The sound wasn't loud. But it wasn't right. Zariah stepped closer. The static glitched again. For a split second. The image distorted into something unrecognizable. Then snapped back to normal. She froze. Nah, I did not just see that. She grabbed the remote and muted it. The room went quiet. Too quiet. And that's when she felt it. Not saw it. Not heard it. Felt it. Like a pressure. Like something unseen. Watching. Her chest tightened. Her instincts told her to go back to her room. Now. She turned. But stopped. Because that earlier thought came back again. Clearer. Stronger. Not loud. But authoritative. You don't have to be afraid. Zariah stood still. Her breathing slowed. Just a little. Who is that? No visible answer. But the fear didn't grow. It paused. Like something was holding it back. The first resistance. Then, another feeling crept in. Opposite of the first. Heavy. Dark. Like the room itself didn't want her standing there. Her thoughts started racing. Go to your room. This is weird. You're not built for this. Just ignore it. But underneath those thoughts. That same quiet clarity. Stay. Zariah clenched her fist slightly. I don't even know what's happening. Her voice was shaking now. I just asked a question. The air felt thick. The tension between leave and stay pulled at her chest. Then she said something she didn't plan. God, if this is you. Her voice cracked slightly. I don't understand anything right now. A pause. But I don't want to be scared either. Silence. Then. Peace. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a subtle shift. Like something stepped between her and the fear. And for the first time that night, she breathed normally. Back in her room, Zariah closed her door behind her and leaned against it. Her mind was racing now, but not in confusion. In realization. Some things. Real. She sat on her bed, hands clasped together without thinking, not even knowing how to pray. If that was you. She looked down. Why me? No audible answer. But a thought came. Gentle. Firm. Because you're listening. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't fully cry. Not yet. She wiped her face quickly, took a deep breath, and whispered, I don't know what I'm doing. A pause. But I think I want to know you. End of part 2. Let's step out of the story for a moment and introduce her properly, so you, the people, don't just hear Zariah. You understand her. Who is Zariah? Zariah is 16 years old. She lives on the west side of Chicago, not the version people post online, but the real one. The one filled with noise, pressure, survival, and unspoken pain. She's not popular. She's not loud. She's not trying to be seen. But she sees everything. Her world. Zariah grew up faster than she was supposed to. Her home isn't stable. Her mother is physically present, but spiritually and emotionally absent, caught in addiction and exhaustion. So Zariah learned early how to stay quiet, how to read the room, how to carry weight that wasn't hers. She doesn't complain, not because it doesn't hurt, but because she doesn't think anyone is really listening. Her personality. Zariah is observant, guarded, and deeply thoughtful. She's the type to notice what nobody else pays attention to. Ask questions she doesn't always say out loud. Feel things deeper than she can explain. She's not rebellious. She's not perfect, either. She's searching. Even before she realizes it. What makes her different? Most people around her have learned to adapt to the brokenness. Zariah hasn't. Something in her refuses to accept. This is just how life is. That quiet thought in her. This isn't how it's supposed to be. That's the beginning of everything. Because that thought. It's not just emotion. It's awareness. Her spiritual position at the beginning. Zariah doesn't know God yet. Not in a real way. She's heard of him. Maybe heard people talk about him. Maybe even seen a Bible before. But she hasn't experienced him. Until now. And what's happening to her isn't random. She didn't go looking for something spiritual. But when she asked, God, if you're real, he answered. Why her story matters. Zariah represents a lot of people. Kids growing up in unstable homes. Youth surrounded by dysfunction but questioning it. People who feel something is wrong, but can't explain it. Those who are close to truth but don't realize it yet. Her journey isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, discernment, truth versus deception, and learning how to walk with God in a real, daily way. What's coming? Zariah's path will take her through spiritual encounters she can't ignore. Truth that challenges everything she thought was normal. People who will try to guide her, some correctly, some dangerously. And a choice. Will she follow truth? Or fall into something that looks like it? Zariah's Journey, Part 3. I know what that is. The next morning felt sharper. Not louder. Not more chaotic. Just clearer. Walking to school. Zariah stepped out of her building, pulling her hoodie up slightly against the wind. Same street. Same people. Same sounds. But now, she noticed more. The arguing on the corner didn't just sound like noise anymore, it felt charged. The laughter from a group of teens felt forced. Even the silence between moments felt like it was carrying something. Zariah slowed her walk. What is this? She wasn't just seeing life anymore. She was discerning it. And she didn't know how to turn it off. First period. She sat in class, eyes forward, but her attention wasn't on the board. The teacher was talking. Students were whispering. But Zariah's focus locked onto something else. 2 desks ahead. A girl scrolling on her phone. Nothing unusual. Except, Zariah felt something again. That same subtle awareness from last night. Like something was off. Not visible, but present. Her brow furrowed. She leaned slightly to the side, trying to understand what she was sensing. And then, pay attention. The thought came clearly. Zariah froze. She didn't look around this time. She just listened. The girl ahead suddenly tensed, her smile fading slightly as she read something on her phone. Her shoulders dropped. Her energy shifted. And under her breath, barely audible. I'm tired of this. Zariah's eyes widened slightly. Not because of what she heard, but because she felt it before it happened. Hallway encounter. The bell rang. Students flooded the hallway. Zariah moved slower than usual, her mind trying to catch up with everything she was experiencing. This ain't normal. I'm not imagining this. So what is it? Hey. Zariah turned. A girl stood a few feet away from her. She looked about the same age. Calm, steady, not loud like everyone else. But her eyes. They were focused. Like she wasn't guessing. Like she knew something. You felt that, didn't you? Zariah's stomach tightened. Felt what? The girl didn't react to the deflection. She stepped a little closer. Don't do that. Zariah blinked. Do what? Act like you don't know what I'm talking about. A pause. Zariah studied her now. Who are you? The girl gave a small, almost knowing smile. Somebody who's been where you are. That hit differently. Zariah crossed her arms slightly. I don't even know where I am. The girl nodded. Exactly. The recognition. They stepped off to the side of the hallway as students rushed past. The noise faded into the background. What's your name? The girl asked. Zariah. I'm Micah. Zariah raised an eyebrow slightly. Micah. Yeah. Another pause. Then Micah leaned in just enough to lower her voice. You asked God something, didn't you? Zariah's heart skipped. She didn't answer right away. Didn't want to answer. But her silence said enough. Micah nodded slowly. Yeah, I thought so. Zariah swallowed. How would you know that? Micah didn't hesitate. Because that's how it starts. Truth introduced. Zariah looked around quickly, then back at her. Starts. What? Micah's expression turned serious now. Seeing. Zariah's face tightened slightly. I've been seeing my whole life. Micah shook her head. No, not like this. A pause. You're starting to see what's behind things. That word sat heavy. Behind. Zariah's voice lowered. What does that even mean? Micah glanced around briefly, then back at her. It means everything you thought was just normal isn't just normal. Zariah felt that. Deep. But listen, Micah continued, you need to understand something before you get too deep into this. Zariah leaned in slightly despite herself. What? Micah's voice dropped even lower. Just because something is spiritual. She paused. Doesn't mean it's from God. The warning. That hit harder than anything else. Zariah blinked. So what was that last night? Micah studied her. You tell me. Zariah hesitated. It wasn't scary. Okay. It felt calm. Micah nodded slowly. Did it agree with fear? Or fight against it? Zariah thought back. The living room. The pressure. The fear. Then that voice. You don't have to be afraid. It fought it. Micah's expression softened slightly. Good. Zariah exhaled a breath she didn't realize she was holding. But that doesn't mean everything you're about to experience will be like that, Micah added. Zariah looked back up. What do you mean? Micah stepped back slightly now. It means you're waking up. A beat. And when you wake up. Her eyes sharpened. Everything that's been hiding doesn't like that. The invitation. The second bell rang. Late bell. Students started rushing again. Micah adjusted her backpack. I gotta go. But you need to decide something, Zariah. Zariah's chest tightened slightly. Decide what? Micah held her gaze. Are you just curious? A pause. Or do you actually want truth? Zariah didn't answer immediately. Because for the first time, she understood the weight of the question. Micah nodded slightly, like she expected that. I'll see you around. She turned and walked off into the crowd. Alone again, but not the same. Zariah stood there as the hallway emptied. Her mind wasn't confused anymore. It was activated. Not everything made sense yet. But something was clear. This wasn't random. This wasn't imagination. And she wasn't the only one who knew. She looked down at her hands again. Then whispered quietly. I think, I want truth. And that same presence from before. Not loud. Not overwhelming. Just steady. Then follow. Zariah lifted her head slowly. And for the first time, she didn't feel lost. She felt like she had just stepped onto something real. End of part 3. Next, in part 4, Micah begins to teach Zariah how to discern truth through the word. Zariah experiences her first direct confrontation with something dark. And we begin to see, not everyone at that school is what they seem. In this next part, we go deeper. Zariah's Journey, Part 4, The Line Between Voices. The rest of the day didn't feel normal anymore. Not because something happened, but because Zariah couldn't go back to not seeing. After school, waiting. Zariah stood outside near the side of the school building, backpack hanging off one shoulder. Students passed by in waves, laughing, arguing, scrolling, living. But she stayed still. Watching. Listening. Feeling. That same awareness from earlier hadn't left. If anything, it had sharpened. Every now and then, she'd feel that subtle shift again, like something beneath the surface of people. Not all people, but some. And she didn't know why. You came back. Zariah turned. Micah leaned against the brick wall, arms folded, calm as ever. I didn't say I was coming, Zariah replied. Micah shrugged slightly. You didn't have to. The first lesson. They walked a little away from the crowd, toward a quieter stretch near the edge of the schoolyard. Zariah didn't waste time. What is happening to me? Micah looked at her directly. You're becoming aware of the spiritual. Zariah frowned slightly. That don't explain nothing. Micah nodded. Okay, let me say it like this. She pointed lightly toward the street. You see people, right? Obviously. But you're starting to notice. There's more than just what you see. Zariah crossed her arms slightly. Like something behind them. Micah gave a small nod. Exactly. A pause. But don't misunderstand that, she added quickly. It's not about judging people. It's about discerning what's influencing them. That word again. Influencing. Zariah felt that. The source of truth. Micah reached into her bag and pulled something out. A Bible. Worn. Used. Not decorative. Zariah stared at it for a second. I've seen those before, she said. Micah raised an eyebrow slightly. Seen it, or heard it? Zariah didn't answer. Micah opened it. Everything you're starting to experience. She tapped the page. This explains it. Zariah looked unsure. I don't know how to read that like that. You're not supposed to perform it, Micah said. You're supposed to receive it. She flipped to a page and held it out slightly. Listen. Micah read, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness. Zariah's face tightened slightly. So you're saying people ain't the real problem? Micah met her eyes. I'm saying people aren't the root. The demonstration. Before Zariah could respond, a loud argument broke out nearby. Two students. A guy and a girl. It escalated fast. Too fast. What you mean, that's not what you said. The girl snapped. I just told you, the guy fired back. Energy shifted instantly. Heavy. Aggressive. Zariah felt it. Stronger than before. Her chest tightened. There it is again. Micah didn't look surprised. Stay with me, she said calmly. Zariah's instinct was to look away. To leave. But something in her chose to stay. What am I supposed to do? She asked quietly. Micah didn't answer right away. Instead, listen carefully, she said. Zariah focused. The argument continued, but now, beneath the words, there was something else. Pushing it. Fueling it. Like the situation was being amplified. Her eyes widened slightly. This don't feel normal. It's not, Micah said. The line is drawn. Zariah stepped back slightly. So what do I do with that? Micah turned fully toward her now. This is where it gets real. A pause. You have to learn the difference between what's from God and what's not. Zariah swallowed. And how am I supposed to know that? Micah lifted the Bible slightly. This is the standard. Zariah looked down at it again. Then back at the argument. Then back at Micah. So everything spiritual ain't good. Micah shook her head. Not even close. The first confrontation is internal. The argument suddenly got louder. The guy shoved a chair. The girl stepped forward aggressively. People started gathering. Phones came out. Zariah felt that pressure spike again. But this time, it pushed on her. Her thoughts started racing. This is too much. Just leave. This ain't your problem. Then, that same calm clarity from before. Stand. Zariah froze. Her breathing slowed slightly. Stand how? Micah looked at her. Don't join it. Zariah frowned. I wasn't going to. Micah shook her head. I don't mean physically. Don't agree with it. That hit deeper than expected. Zariah looked back at the situation. Then closed her eyes briefly. I don't even know how to do that. Micah's voice softened, but stayed firm. Then start simple. Zariah opened her eyes. How? Micah spoke one word. Truth. A small step. A real one. Zariah swallowed. Her voice barely above a whisper. This ain't right. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it was intentional. And something shifted. Not in the crowd immediately. But in her. That pressure. It loosened. Just slightly. Her shoulders relaxed. Her breathing steadied. What was that? She asked quietly. Micah gave a small nod. You didn't just feel it. You responded to it. The beginning of authority. The argument eventually got broken up by staff. Students scattered. Energy dropped. But Zariah stood there, still processing. So I can actually do something. Micah looked at her carefully. Yeah. But only if you stay rooted in truth. Zariah looked down again. Then back up. You gonna teach me? Micah didn't smile big. Didn't overreact. Just nodded. If you're serious. Zariah took a breath. Then answered, firm this time. I am. Closing moment. As they started walking off together, Zariah glanced back once more at where the argument had happened. It looked normal again. Like nothing had ever been there. But she knew better now. And that quiet voice inside her. Steady. Present. You're learning. Zariah didn't respond out loud this time. But in her heart. She agreed. End of part 4. Next, in part 5. Micah begins teaching Zariah how to use the word intentionally. A deeper spiritual presence begins targeting Zariah directly. And someone else at the school reveals. They're not on the same side. Zariah's Journey, Part 5. When it notices you. That night, something changed. Not around Zariah. Toward her. Back home. The apartment was quieter than usual. Too quiet. No TV. No movement. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. Zariah stepped in slowly, closing the door behind her. Ma. No answer. She walked further in. Her mother was in her room this time, door closed. Zariah stared at it for a moment. Then turned away. For once, the silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like space. Like something had room to move. In her room. Zariah sat on her bed, Micah's words replaying in her mind. You have to learn the difference between what's from God. And what's not. She looked down at the Bible Micah had given her earlier. It felt heavier than a normal book. Not physically. But in meaning. I don't even know where to start. She opened it randomly. Her eyes landed on a verse. She read it slowly, under her breath. God is not the author of confusion. Zariah paused. That already helps. Because what she had been feeling wasn't confusion. It was clarity. Uncomfortable, but clear. The shift. Then, a sudden thought cut through her mind. Sharp. Uninvited. You're going too far. Zariah froze. Her head lifted slowly. What? That didn't feel like before. It wasn't calm. It wasn't steady. It felt intrusive. Her chest tightened. Another thought followed quickly. You don't belong in this. Zariah stood up now. Her heart started beating faster. No. She shook her head slightly. That don't feel right. The pressure in the room shifted. Heavier. Closer. Discernment begins. Zariah backed up slightly, gripping the Bible tighter. Micah's voice echoed in her memory. Just because something is spiritual doesn't mean it's from God. Her breathing steadied just enough to think. Okay. She spoke out loud now. If it's from God, it's not gonna bring confusion or fear like this. The pressure didn't leave, but something inside her stood up. Not confidence. Not yet. But resistance. The first real pushback. Another thought hit her. More aggressive this time. Put the book down. Zariah's eyes sharpened. Nah. She held it tighter. Her voice, still shaky, but firmer. No. Silence. Then, a wave of pressure rolled through her chest. Like something pushing against her decision. Her knees felt weak for a second. But she didn't drop the Bible. God, I don't know everything yet. She swallowed. But I know this ain't you. Truth spoken. She looked down at the page again, searching quickly. Her eyes landed on another line. She didn't even fully understand it. But she spoke it anyway. God didn't give me a spirit of fear. Her voice steadied as she said it again. God didn't give me a spirit of fear. The atmosphere shifted. Slight. But real. The pressure pulled back just a little. Zariah's eyes widened. Okay. Her grip tightened. So that means this. She looked up. Ain't from him. It reacts. For a split second. The room felt like it tightened. Like whatever was there didn't like being identified. Another thought came, but this time, weaker. You don't understand what you're doing. Zariah took a step forward. Not back. I'm starting to. And that changed everything. Breaking point. The pressure lingered for a few more seconds. Then, it lifted. Not dramatically. Not with noise. Just, gone. Like something had to let go. Zariah stood there, breathing heavy. Looking around her room. Everything looked the same. But it didn't feel the same. That was real. Not imagination. Not stress. Not emotion. Real. The aftermath. Zariah sat back down slowly. Her hands still slightly shaking. But her mind. Clear. Clearer than ever. I wasn't just feeling something. She looked at the Bible. I pushed back. And it moved. That realization settled deep. Not pride. But awareness. The understanding grows. A quiet thought came again. The same one she had felt before. Steady. Peaceful. Stay with truth. Zariah nodded slowly. Yeah. This time, no hesitation. No fear attached. Just agreement. Closing moment. She laid back on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Everything had changed in just a couple days. But now she understood something she didn't before. This wasn't just about learning. This was about war. Not with people. Not with the world she could see. But something deeper. Something spiritual. And somehow, she had just stepped into it. End of part 5. Next in part 6. Zariah tells Micah what happened, and gets her first real breakdown of spiritual authority. A third student enters the story. But something about them is off. And Zariah begins learning how to use the word on purpose, not just reactively. Zariah's Journey, Part 6. Authority you didn't know you had. The next morning, Zariah didn't feel the same. Not lighter. Not heavier. Just aware. Like something in her had crossed a line, and there was no going back. Before school, she stood in the bathroom mirror, brushing her hair slowly. Her reflection looked the same. Same eyes. Same face. But behind her expression, there was focus now. That really happened. She paused. And I didn't lose. That mattered more than she expected. Not because she felt powerful, but because she realized that she wasn't helpless. At school, finding Micah. Zariah moved through the hallway with purpose this time, scanning faces. Not in fear. In recognition. She found Micah near the lockers, flipping through her notebook. We need to talk. Micah looked up, and immediately saw it. Something had changed. It happened, didn't it? Zariah nodded once. Yeah. Micah closed her notebook slowly. Tell me everything. The breakdown. They moved to a quieter stairwell. Zariah didn't hold back. It wasn't like before, she said. This one felt wrong, like it was pushing on me. Micah nodded. Go on. It was talking, well, not talking out loud, but in your thoughts, Micah finished. Yeah. Zariah swallowed. It told me to stop. Said I didn't belong in this. Micah's expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. And what did you do? Zariah hesitated. I said no. A small pause. And I used something from the Bible. Micah leaned back slightly. What did you say? Zariah took a breath. God didn't give me a spirit of fear. Silence. Then, Micah smiled. Not big. Not hype. But real. Good. What just happened? Zariah frowned slightly. Good. That didn't feel small. It wasn't, Micah said. She stepped a little closer. That was your first real confrontation. Zariah crossed her arms slightly. With what? Micah didn't soften it. Something that didn't want you waking up. That sat heavy. Zariah looked down for a second. It felt like it knew I was changing. Micah nodded. Because it did. Authority explained. Zariah looked back up. So why did it leave? Micah held her gaze. Because you didn't agree with it. A pause. And you used truth. Zariah blinked. That's it. Micah shook her head slightly. That's not small, Zariah. She tapped the Bible in Zariah's hand. This isn't just a book. It's authority. Zariah frowned. I don't feel like I got authority over anything. Mika's voice stayed calm, but firm. You don't feel it yet. But you used it. Understanding authority. Micah leaned against the wall. Let me break it down simple. Zariah listened closely. Anything that's not from God. She paused. Has to respond to truth. Zariah's brow furrowed. Even if I don't fully understand it. Yes. That hit differently. So it's not about me being strong. Micah shook her head. It's about what you stand on. The warning deepens. Before Zariah could respond, footsteps echoed into the stairwell. Someone else was coming up. Both of them turned slightly. A boy stepped into view. Around their age. Calm. Too calm. He glanced at them, then smiled slightly. Didn't mean to interrupt. Micah didn't smile back. Then don't. The boy raised his hand slightly. Relax. I'm not here for problems. But something about him felt off. Zariah felt it immediately. That same awareness. But different than before. This wasn't chaotic. This was controlled, quiet, intentional. Her stomach tightened. Discernment in action. The boy looked directly at Zariah. You're new to this, huh? Zariah's heart skipped. What? He tilted his head slightly. That feeling, that awareness. A small smile. It can be overwhelming at first. Micah stepped slightly in front of Zariah. Don't. The boy looked at her. Don't what? Don't talk to her like that. A pause. The air shifted slightly. Zariah felt it again. That subtle pressure. But not aggressive. Persuasive. The divide. The boy looked back at Zariah. I can help you understand it faster, he said calmly. Mika's voice cut in immediately. No, you can't. Zariah looked between them. Confused, but alert. What's going on? Micah didn't take her eyes off him. Same lesson. A pause. Not everything spiritual is from God. The boy exhaled softly, almost amused. You always make things harder than they need to be. Micah's voice sharpened. And you always make them sound easier than they are. Zariah's choice. Again. Silence sat between all three of them. Zariah could feel it now. Two different poles. Micah, steady, grounded, firm. The boy, smooth, calm, but something not right underneath it. He stepped slightly closer. Look, I'm not against you, he said to Zariah. You're waking up. That's a good thing. A pause. But you don't have to struggle through it. Zariah's chest tightened slightly. That sounded appealing. Micah spoke quietly, but directly. Truth doesn't rush you. That cut through the moment. Clarity. Zariah took a slow breath. Then asked the question that mattered. What's your name? The boy smiled slightly. Eli. Micah didn't react, but Zariah felt something shift again. Not confirmation, but caution. Standing in what she knows. Zariah looked at him carefully. Then said, slower this time. If it's real. A pause. It's not gonna pull me away from truth. Eli's smile didn't disappear. But it changed slightly. You're learning. Micah nodded once. Yeah. Zariah stood a little straighter now. Not confident in everything. but grounded in something. Exit. Eli stepped back toward the stairs. No pressure, he said calmly. You'll figure it out. He glanced at Micah. Then back at Zariah. I'll see you around. And just like that, he left. The aftermath. Silence filled the stairwell again. Zariah exhaled slowly. Yeah, something about him. Micah finished it. Ain't right. Zariah nodded. I felt that. A pause. But I also understood what he was saying. Micah looked at her. That's how deception works. Closing understanding. Zariah looked down at the Bible again. Then back toward the stairs Eli walked through. So this isn't just about knowing something's there. Micah shook her head. No. Zariah's voice steadied. It's about choosing what's true. Micah nodded. Every time. End of part 6. Next in part 7. Eli begins subtly influencing others in the school. Zariah faces pressure not just internally, but socially. And Micah starts teaching her how to stand out loud, not just internally.
Yeah, not a trend, not a moment, not a Sunday only thing. It's that everyday bread. Jackson Boulevard, let's talk. Yeah. Get your Jesus fix in 2026. Not a rush, not a vibe. It's a life we live. When the world feel dry and the soul feel mixed, we go back to the rock. Yeah, we know where it is. Get your Jesus fix. Word, truth, light. Every single day, not just one good night. He ain't temporary, he forever is. Get your Jesus fix in 2026. We tired of quick faith and borrowed belief. Scrolling for hope, but our hearts still weak. Culture say self, Jesus say come. Lay your burdens down, I already won. This that early church walk, act style faith. Breaking bread, praying hard, staying awake. Not a feel good quote, not a shallow mix. This the narrow road, yeah, it costs like this. Daily bread, not a once a week taste. Real joy don't fade when the storm clouds chase. Yeah. Get your Jesus fix in 2026. Not a rush, not a vibe. It's a life we live. When the world feel dry and the soul feel mixed, we go back to the rock. Yeah, we know where it is. Get your Jesus fix. Word, truth, light. Every single day, not just one good night. He ain't temporary, he forever is. Get your Jesus fix in 2026. Bible open, knees low, heart wide. Still choosing love when the world divide. Grace ain't cheap, but it been paid. Cross stood firm while the crowd walked away. We don't chase smoke, lights, and noise. We chasing fruit, peace, faith, joy. If you tired, lost, or you need that lift, come drink from the well. Yeah, Jesus still gives. Not a fix like the world try to say. Not a high that fade when the moment fails. From the crib to the grave, every season ends. Yo, get your Jesus fix in 2026. Not a rush, not a vibe, it's a life we live. When the world feel dry and the soul feel mixed, we go back to the rock, yeah, we know where it is. Get your Jesus fix. Word, truth, light, every single day, not just one good night. He ain't temporary, he forever is. Get your Jesus fix in 2026. Yeah. Same Jesus, same gospel.
BJ.
Kind of messed that part up. My bad. Want to go to here and there. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see here. think I went too far. Again. Let's try that.
Everybody beating on the track. I ain't trying to numb the pain, I'ma stay strong on it. When the pressure in my chest, I'ma pray on it. Every burden, every fear, put the name on it. If it's bigger than me, I let God rain on it. Hands up, eyes closed, let the faith fall on it. Dark nights, cold streets, still a call on it. When the world say run, I remain on it. I don't fold no more, I'ma pray on it. Used to walk blocks with a siren sang lullabies. Pain in my chest, learned early how to swallow cries. Seen friends fade quick, chasing temporary highs, while the enemy whisper lies, saying I wouldn't survive. Mine felt heavy like chains on my spirit. Voices in my head, constant fear when I hear it. Tried to fight alone, kept losing every round till I hit my knees one night and finally broke down. Said, Father, I'm tired of running this race blind. Heart full of wounds, soul lost in dark times. Then peace fell slow like rain in a drought. That's when I learned what real power's about. Now when trouble come knocking at my door, I don't panic like I did before. I stand firm, lift my voice and declare. Every storm in my life gets covered in prayer. I ain't trying to numb the pain, I'ma stay strong on it. When the pressure in my chest, I'ma pray on it. Every burden, every fear, put the name on it. If it's bigger than me, I let God rain on it. Hands up, eyes closed, let the faith fall on it. Dark nights, cold streets, still a call on it. When the world say run, I remain on it. I don't fold no more, I'ma pray on it. Buried too many dreams and too many friends. Stood in the rain, watching caskets descend. Heart felt hollow like a house with no light. Smiled in the day, but was drowning that night. Carry survivor's guilt deep in my chest. Asking God why he ain't taking me instead. Memories replayed like wounds that won't seal. Pain so heavy it ain't seem like it would heal. Then in the silence came a whisper clear. Said I kept you alive cause your purpose is here. Not just to breathe, not just survive, but to speak hope to souls barely alive. Now I walk blocks with a different mission. Turning my scars into living scripture written. Praying with brothers when I once stood lost. Showing them freedom always came with a cost. I ain't perfect, still wrestle some days. But I move forward now instead of sideways. Every tear that fell in my past, God turned into oil for ministry at last. I used to think strength meant hiding the pain. Keeping it locked, never speaking the strain. But real power came the moment I learned. Broken hearts can still burn. Now when darkness tries calling my name, I don't answer the same. I lift my hands and I say, Father, you carry me through it. So I know you gon' see me through it. I ain't trying to numb the pain, I'ma stay strong on it. When the pressure hit my chest, I'ma pray on it. Every burden, every fear, put the name on it. If it's bigger than me, I let God rain on it. From the wounds to the calling, put the flame on it. From the streets to the pulpit, put the claim on it. I was lost, now I stand with His grace on it. Every battle in my life, I'ma pray on it. Hoodie up, headphones on, scrolling through a world that feels long gone. Late night, blue screen glow. Try to find a place my soul can go. Tried it all, still feel hollow. All these trends, too tired to follow. Then I heard your name like a quiet call. Soft but strong, cut through it all. Jesus, save me on a Sunday. Heart cracked open in a hallway. Tears on my face, but I felt so free. So free. Yeah, now I'm talking to the youth like he did it once, he can do it in your life. Just say his name, let him in and see. I was chasing lights, never felt life. Smiling in the pics, real life I cry. Anger in my chest, shame in my room. Thought about the end way too soon. Opened up a page, red letter shown. Words about a cross and a rolling stone. Love that died, then walk right out the grave. That's when I knew even I could be saved. Oh yeah, save me on a Sunday. Heart cracked open in the hallway, tears on my face, but I felt so free, so free. Yeah, now I'm talking to the youth like he did it once, he can do it in your life. Just say his name, let him in and see. You ain't too far gone, you ain't too late. Grace still running at your gate. Come as you are. Bring your fear, your fight. He turns dark rooms in the morning light. Oh, yeah, Jesus, you saved me on a Sunday. Heart cracked open in a hallway. Tears on my face, but I felt so free, so free. Yeah, now I'm talking to the youth like he did it once, he can do it in your life right where you are. Call his name and see. Jesus saves and he's calling you and me. Yeah, same streets, same corners, but a different message now. West Side, this one's for you. Yeah, back on the block where the young ones stand. Same corner store, same siren chants. Nothing really changed in the neighborhood view, except the mission God placed me to do. Used to walk the streets with confusion inside, trying to keep pace with the city's pride. Now I walk slower with a purpose and step, carrying truth that the world forgets. Young brother asked, why you reading that book? I told him, son, it's the map they never showed us. The same word that lifted me out the storm can turn broken nights into brighter mornings. It's our testimony rising through the air. Truth for the youth, think nobody cares. If the Lord reached me, then the path is clear. Hope still lives right here. It's our testimony from the heart I speak. Grace for the sinner upon these streets. Now every verse like a prayer I release. Light for the west side street. Yeah. Talking to the youth, sitting quiet on the steps. Eyes full of questions, hearts full of stress. Some chasing money, some chasing respect. Some just trying to survive what's next. Told them I know how the pressure can feel, how the block can make the fake life look real. But everything shining ain't gold in the end. Some roads lead straight to the coffin, my friend. But Christ gave purpose bigger than survival. More than a hustle or a street title. A kingdom waiting for the ones who believe. Even the kids standing right here with me. Testimony rising through the air. Truth for the youth, think nobody cares. If the Lord reached me, then the path is clear. Hope still lives right here. That's our testimony from the heart I speak. Grace for the sinner upon these streets. Every verse like a prayer I release. Light for the west side street. You don't have to leave the neighborhood to change the neighborhood. Sometimes God raises somebody from the same block to show the others another way. Yeah. Now when I pass where the old crew stand, they see a different man. Not perfect steps, but a different road. Carrying faith instead of the load. If one young life hears these rhymes tonight and chooses truth over street life, then every trial I walked through before was God preparing this open door. Well, my testimony and through time, hope in the rhythm, truth in the rhyme. Through every struggle, the Lord can reach, even the heart of the streets. West side ain't just music. This is a testimony. Yeah. 3 a.m. vision, man. I ain't even had no pizza yet. But the dream say it. I fell asleep praying, woke up in a dream. Standing on Roosevelt with a heavenly team. Angels on scooters, one riding a bike. One said, bro, chill, we just guarding your life. I said, hold up, wait. What is this scene? Why the clouds look like a herald shaking wing? Then a voice said, son, don't panic or fear. But the angel next to me said, man, the bus ain't here. I was dreaming on Roosevelt Road last night. Angels in hoodies say everything alright. One had a sword, one had a slice of pie. I said, is this heaven? They said, nah, just try. Dreaming on Roosevelt Road last night. Even the pigeons started quoting scripture right. Woke up laughing like, Lord, that's wild. Cause an angel told me, bro, stay humble, child. Now we walking through Douglas Park in the mist. Angel said, watch out, that squirrel might hiss. I said, squirrels don't hiss. You playing with me? That squirrel turned around like Rick Bitch. I ran so fast, I almost tripped. Angel laughed like, man, you dramatic kid. Then another said, focus, we on assignment. But he stopped mid-sentence for a hot dog stand alignment. I was dreaming on Roosevelt Road last night. Angels in hoodies say everything alright. One had a sword, one had a slice of pie. I said, is this heaven? They said, nah, just try. Dreaming on Roosevelt Road last night. Even the pigeons started quoting scripture right. Woke up laughing like, Lord, that's wild. Cause an angel told me, bro, stay humble, child. Woke up at 6 like, what was that? Angel and Jordans with a baseball bat. Dream said, pray, but laugh a little too. Even heaven knows Chicago got humor in view. Yeah, this one for the young queens, the daughters of God. Your worth was never meant to be defined by the world. Young sister walking through the noise of the day. World telling lies, trying to lead you astray. Saying beauty only matters skin deep, but your value runs deeper than the eyes can see. Magazines painting pictures so fake. Social media showing masks people make. But the truth in your soul is stronger than trends, because God wrote your story before it began. Not just a face in a crowd on the street. You carry a purpose the world needs to see. Grace in your heart, strength in your voice. Heaven celebrates every righteous choice. Daughters of the promise, shining with grace, chosen and loved in a holy place. Through every trial, your spirit still stands. The future written in the Father's hands. Daughters of the promise, rise and believe. More than the lies this world can weave. Your work was written before time began. A daughter of God and His master plan. Some grew up strong, though the storms were real. Holding together wounds they never reveal. Some learned courage through tears in the night. Still finding faith when the road got tight. But a queen ain't measured by the pain she faced. It's the wisdom she carries and the love she gives grace. Kindness stronger than anger or pride. A heart full of truth no darkness can hide. The daughters rising with purpose inside. Walking with faith is their steady guide. And every young girl who listens today can step into the promise prepared for her. Rise of the promise, shining with grace, chosen and loved in a holy place. Through every trial, your spirit still stands. A future written in the Father's hands. Daughters of the promise, rise and believe. are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You were created with purpose, and heaven still calls you daughter. Now I see young queens rising with light, turning their pain into strength and insight, guiding the next generation to stand with wisdom and love across the land. If one young heart hears this melody and discovers the power God placed in a being, then every word written in this song helps another daughter rise strong as other stars, walking in light in the day and hope through the night. Through every storm, each spirit still stands, guided by love in the Father's hand. Daughters of the promise, shining bright, truth in yourselves, courage inside. Through every city and every land, God still raises daughters to stand.
Zariah's Journey, Part 7. When Truth Makes You Stand Alone. The shift didn't stay private. By the next day, it started showing up around her. Morning, the atmosphere changes. Zariah walked into school and immediately felt it. Not chaos. Not fear. Something more subtle. Influence. Like the air itself was carrying suggestion. She slowed her steps. It's stronger today. That awareness in her sharpened again. Voices around her sounded normal, but underneath them, something felt guided. Directed. And she already knew. This wasn't random. The first sign of spread. In class, things felt off. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just slightly tilted. The same girl from before, the one Zariah noticed in part 3, was talking to a group now. I'm just saying, the girl said casually, you gotta trust what feels right to you. Like, everything isn't that deep. A few students nodded. Yeah, facts. Exactly. Zariah's eyes narrowed slightly. That sounded harmless. But it felt wrong. Not because of the words alone, but because of what it was doing. Lowering awareness. Dulling discernment. Micah's words echoed in her mind. Not everything spiritual is from God. Zariah looked down at her desk. That's not truth. The internal pressure returns. Immediately. That familiar push came back. Not as aggressive as before, but persistent. Just let it go. Zariah stiffened slightly. Her jaw tightened. No. She whispered it under her breath. But the pressure continued. You don't need to say anything. Her heart started beating faster. Because this time, it wasn't about fear. It was about silence. Micah's look. Across the room, Micah caught her eye. Just a glance. But it said everything. You feel it too. Zariah gave the smallest nod. Micah didn't interrupt the class. Didn't speak up. But she didn't look away either. The decision builds. The conversation kept going. More students chimed in now. Yeah, like people be overthinking everything. Just live your life. Not everything gotta be about right or wrong. Zariah's chest tightened. Because now she understood something deeper. This wasn't just talk. This was influence spreading. And she was sitting directly in the middle of it. The moment comes. That same thought pressed again. Stay quiet. But underneath it, stronger now, that steady voice she had come to recognize. Stand. Zariah swallowed. Her hands felt slightly tense. Her mind raced. What do I even say? What if they look at me crazy? What if I'm wrong? Then, clarity. Not everything. Just enough. She speaks. Zariah lifted her head. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was clear. That's not true. The room shifted slightly. A few heads turned. The girl speaking paused. What? Zariah didn't back down. Her heart was beating, but she stayed steady. Not everything that feels right is right. Silence. Not complete, but enough to feel. The pushback. One of the students frowned. So what? You saying we just supposed to live scared or something? Zariah shook her head. No. A pause. I'm saying there is a right and wrong. The original girl tilted her head. And who decides that? That question hit the room. Zariah felt it. That pressure again. Trying to trip her up. Trying to make her hesitate. But she didn't. God does. The reaction. A couple students laughed lightly. Not harsh. But dismissive. Here we go. Man. But others didn't laugh. They just listened. And that mattered. The pressure breaks again. Zariah felt it immediately. That invisible pressure. It shifted. Weakened. Just like in her room the night before. Not gone completely. But no longer in control. Her breathing steadied. Her mind cleared. Micah steps in. Micah spoke up. Not loud, but precise. She's right. The room looked at her now. Micah didn't argue. Didn't debate. Just added. Truth doesn't change based on how we feel about it. That settled differently. Less emotional. More grounded. Class ends. The bell rang. Conversation broke apart. Students grabbed their things. Some shook their heads. Some ignored it. Some thought about it. But something had happened. Whether they admitted it or not. Truth had entered the room. Hallway aftermath. Zariah stepped out into the hallway, heart still beating faster than normal. I really just did that. Micah caught up to her. Yeah. A small pause. And you didn't fold. Zariah let out a breath. I felt like I was about to. Micah nodded. That doesn't matter. Zariah looked at her. What matters then? Micah answered simply. That you stood anyway. Eli watching. Further down the hallway. Eli stood near the lockers. Watching. Not obvious. But intentional. A faint smile touched his face. Not impressed. Not surprised. Just observing. So she chose. He turned slightly and walked off. Closing realization. Zariah leaned against the wall for a moment. Everything felt different now. Not just spiritually. Socially. She knew. People saw her differently now. And that came with weight. This is gonna cost something. Micah stood beside her. Yeah. A pause. But truth always does. Final line. Zariah looked down the hallway. Then straight ahead. Her voice quiet, but firm. I'm not going back. And deep inside, that steady presence responded. Keep going. End of part 7. Next in part 8. The pressure escalates. Zariah faces isolation and subtle rejection. Eli begins working more directly through others. And Zariah learns the difference between being right and walking in love while standing in truth. Zariah's Journey, Part 8. Truth without love is still a trap. The shift didn't come with noise. It came with distance. The slow separation. By the next day, people weren't reacting to Zariah the same. Nobody pressed her. Nobody argued with her. But something changed. Space. The same girls who used to sit near her moved down the table. The casual conversations stopped including her. Even the looks she got now weren't angry. They were uncertain. Like people didn't know what to do with her anymore. Zariah felt it immediately. So this is what it comes with. Lunch, alone, but not alone. She sat by herself again. Same cafeteria. Same noise. But now, the silence around her felt louder. She picked at her food, not really eating. Her thoughts started circling. Was I too much? Did I say it wrong? I know it was true. But then, that subtle pressure crept back in. Not aggressive. Not forceful. Just suggestive. You pushed too hard. Zariah paused. Her fingers tightened slightly around her fork. No. But the thought didn't leave. You could have said it better. That one hit differently. Because this time, it sounded reasonable. Micah joins her. You thinking too loud again. Zariah looked up. Micah sat across from her, calm as ever. Zariah exhaled slightly. It don't feel like pressure this time. Micah nodded. Because it's more subtle. A pause. What's it saying? Zariah hesitated. That I was right, but maybe I came off wrong. Micah didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked, do you care about being right? Zariah frowned slightly. I mean, yeah. Micah leaned forward just a little. Or do you care about people actually receiving truth? That question landed deep. A hard lesson. Zariah looked down at the table. Both. Micah nodded. Good. A pause. But they're not the same thing. Zariah looked back up. What do you mean? Micah's voice stayed steady. You can speak truth and still miss God's heart. Zariah's expression tightened slightly. So I did it wrong. Micah shook her head. No. A pause. You just did the first part. Understanding love in truth. Zariah leaned back slightly. So what's the second part? Micah answered plainly. Love. Zariah blinked. I wasn't being mean. I know, Micah said. That's not what I'm saying. She leaned in slightly. Love isn't just not being harsh. A pause. It's caring whether people are reached. Not just corrected. That shifted something. The setup. Across the cafeteria. Zariah noticed something. Eli. Sitting with a group. Talking. Relaxed. People around him looked engaged. Comfortable. Drawn in. Zariah's eyes narrowed slightly. He's doing something. Micah followed her gaze. Yeah. They watched quietly. Eli wasn't loud. Wasn't forceful. But his words carried. Zariah couldn't hear everything. But she caught pieces. You don't need anyone telling you what's right. Everything you need is already in you, just trust yourself. The group nodded. Some smiled. Some leaned closer. Zariah felt it again. That influence. Smooth. Appealing. Dangerous. Discernment deepens. That sounds good, Zariah said quietly. Micah nodded. That's why it works. Zariah's jaw tightened slightly. But it's off. Micah looked at her. Why? Zariah thought for a second. Then answered slowly. Because it takes God out of it. Micah's expression softened slightly. Exactly. The realization. Zariah watched a girl at the table laugh at something Eli said. Comfortable. Open. Receiving. And it hit her. They're listening to him more than they listen to me. Micah didn't sugarcoat it. Yeah. Zariah swallowed. Why? Micah answered simply. Because he's not challenging them. A pause. He's affirming them. The tension inside. Zariah leaned back. Her thoughts started turning again. So what? People just want to hear what feels good. Then what's the point of truth? That frustration started building. But before it could take over, that steady voice returned. Truth. And love. Zariah closed her eyes briefly. Okay. The balance. She opened her eyes again. So how do I do both? Micah gave a small nod. Now you're asking the right question. A pause. You don't water truth down. But you don't throw it at people either. Zariah exhaled slightly. So what does that look like? Micah glanced toward Eli's table again. Then back at Zariah. It looks like being led. Not reactive. A new kind of strength. Zariah sat there quietly for a moment. Processing. Feeling. Learning. Then she said. So I don't need to prove anything. Micah shook her head. No. A pause. You just need to be real. And led by truth. Closing shift. Zariah looked across the cafeteria one more time. At Eli. At the group around him. Then back at her own table. Empty. But not the same kind of empty as before. This time. It felt like space to grow. Final moment. She picked up her fork again. Took a small bite. Then said quietly. I'm not here to win arguments. Micah nodded. Good. Zariah's eyes steadied. I'm here to walk in truth. A pause. The right way. And deep inside, that same steady presence responded. Now you're ready to learn. End of part 8. Next, in part 9. Eli begins targeting Zariah more directly, but through someone close to her. Zariah faces emotional pressure, not just spiritual. And she learns that, standing in truth with love sometimes means being misunderstood anyway.